Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? My goodness, what a day today. Trea Turner, 11 years for the Phillies. Justin Verlander to the Mets. We got some news on Aaron Judge, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Rodon, Christian Vazquez. The Angels made a move today. The Twins are looking to make some moves. What is going on, everyone? How you doing? Hello. Welcome to tonight's show. Appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. Man, oh man, what a day. What a day. I guess it's the second day of the winter meetings, but today was the first full day of the winter meetings, and we got off to a pretty hellacious start. I mean, Justin Verlander was the first. Trea Turner was the biggest. My goodness, what a day. Xander Bogaerts has been in the news. Aaron Judge is actually, they're giving some updates within the past hour, so we'll take a look at some Aaron Judge news. The Angels making some moves today. The Twins looking to make some moves as well. And little tidbits here and there as well. But everyone, I appreciate you stopping by. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. But before I do get started, if you are new to the channel, everyone, we are really close to 28,000 subscribers. So if you are new, think about subscribing down below. That would be awesome if we can get to 28K. Everyone, like goal for tonight. The like goal for tonight. I'm hoping we can get at least 150 likes. I think that's doable. So if you can hit that like button for me, it really does help out with the algorithm. I know all of us annoying YouTubers like to say it, but it does help. It really does. What else here? Oh, share the stream if you can. Share it on Twitter. Twitter has been very busy lately with all of the baseball news, so get it out there if you can. Also, don't forget about our sponsors for tonight's show. We have SeatGeek. Use my code HYDE, $20 off your first purchase. I just used SeatGeek the other night. I got myself some tickets to a Bruins game. So, hey, I found myself a pretty good deal. So go check it out. You get $20 off on your first order. We're also partners here with Prize Picks. Use my code GINGER. You'll get a 100% deposit match. So if you're into the sports betting game, absolutely check it out. If you deposit $50, they'll give you 50. If you deposit 10, they'll give you 10. Go check it out. You play the over-unders. And we are trying to land Manscaped as a full-time sponsor. So if you're looking to step up your male grooming game, use my code HYDE. You get 20% off on your order. We need to get at least 8 people to use the code. We have 2 so far, so we need 6 more. So if you're looking for some holiday shopping, they got some bundles on there. They got some pretty good stuff. I mean, they sent me some stuff, and I'm not going to lie, it's actually pretty good. I'm pretty picky about my male grooming needs, so go give it a chance. Go see if you see anything you like. Once again, use my code HYDE, 20% off. All right, everyone, let's get to it. We got over 200 people here in the chat. People are slowly starting to trickle in. I'm seeing some members. Chad Dub, thank you for signing up for your 8th month, my friend. I greatly appreciate that. That is awesome. A lot of familiar faces here in the chat. But here we go, everyone. Let's get to it. We got no time to lose. No time to lose. Let me get the music ready. I knew I forgot something. Oh, hold on. There it is. Here's the music. Alrighty. So, our first story of the night. I mean, of course. I mean, we got to get to the big one here. And that is Trea Turner. I mean, my goodness. What a deal this was. I mean, I saw the years, and I'm thinking, what in the heck is going on here? 11 years for Trea Turner. Let's get to it here. Here we go. An 11-year deal, $300 million over the 11, a full no-trade clause. My goodness, an 11-year deal. That is just insane, man. But Trea Turner, he's one of the best, and this guy definitely deserves a contract like that. So if we go take a look at the updated payroll, taking a look here, Trea Turner, he's going to be averaging, honestly, you know, in the next few years or so, this could end up being a pretty good bargain, you know? I mean, same thing for Bryce Harper too, man. You know, with what these guys are getting, with what someone like Aaron Judge is going to be getting, you know, probably going to be like 35 to 40 million in that range. This could end up being a bargain in the next few years. But Trea Turner, this is going to be an awesome fit for the Phillies. Taking a look at the lineup here. I mean, this lineup was already really good, and now you're adding Trea Turner. They're projecting him for the 2-hole as of right now. Schwarber, I actually do like Schwarber in the leadoff spot. He's that on-base enigma at the top of the lineup. He's not really like the speedy leadoff guy, but he just gets on base, and I actually like Schwarber in the leadoff spot. Turner at number 2, and then you got some. It's funny because they don't have Bryce Harper here, but that's because he's going to be out for a little while. But imagine when Bryce Harper ends up coming back. I mean, this is going to be just a nutty lineup, man. I mean, this is insane. I think, I think there is an argument now that the Phillies have the best lineup in the National League East. I mean, the Braves lineup is really good. Well, if they bring back Swanson, obviously it's going to be held intact, but that Braves lineup is really good. The Mets, I think they do need to add another bat or two, but I think you can say that the Phillies on paper have the best lineup right now, especially when Harper comes back. I mean, this is an insane deal. We've seen the Phillies connected with Trea Turner for a while. I'm one of those where, I don't know, I've gotten my hopes up way too much, with these reports. Like, it looked like it was a slam dunk for the Phillies, months ago that they were going to get Trea Turner. I'm always one of those where I'm like, nah, every time these guys, these reporters always say it's a sure thing, it ends up not happening. So I was thinking, Turner probably ends up, maybe just staying with the Dodgers, ends up going to like some surprise team. But no, hey, it held firm, ends up going to the Phillies. They've been connected with him for a while. His wife lives in New Jersey, so it really does make a lot of sense. I don't really buy too much into, the geographical perspective on when it comes to the free agents, but in this case, it did, work out that way. So, I think Bryce Harper, I got a little tickle in my throat, man, and I got my coffee here, so I was just coming off of a cold last week, and that little cough, it's just still lingering. You know what I mean? It's just that annoying cough that won't go away. But, Bryce Harper, I definitely think had some influence here. I mean, obviously, just the Phillies team is looking really good. I mean, they were that close, to winning a World Series. So, no surprise, man. No surprise. Trea Turner. I do wonder about Trea Turner, like, long-term. What is he going to be like when he's, 35, 40? I feel like out of all the shortstops, I know Correa's had his injuries, but I feel like Correa could end up having the best chance to have the most longevity out of all of them. But Turner, this is a guy, people have speculated about Turner, what happens, because his speed is a big aspect of him. What happens if his speed starts to go down? I think Turner is going to be very good for the Phillies. I just wonder, it's kind of like all players, honestly. What are they going to be like, their 35-plus seasons? So either way, this is a huge move for the Phillies, an absolute slam dunk. Rick Bennett, $9.99 Super Chat. How you doing? I am so hyped. We need Carlos Rodon next. Love the channel. Rick, I love you, my friend. Carlos Rodon would be huge. I mean, could you imagine, man, if the Phillies go out here and they go ahead and make that signing as well? I mean, right now, their payroll is at $217. So they're actually looking like they're in pretty good shape. Rodon would put them over. But, hey, I mean, for the Phillies, do they make another move? Is this kind of where do they just kind of make some small moves? Or do they keep going here? Do they make another slam dunk? Hey, you never know with Dave Dombrowski, man. Dealing Dave. Jimmy Productions, how you doing, my friend? Nats would have had 300, 330, 450, or $50 million players. It's crazy how the Nationals, man, with Juan Soto, this guy's going to make a ton. Turner obviously getting this big contract. Bryce Harper. I mean, the Nationals have produced some just amazing players, man. And man, oh man, it is crazy to think about. What if the Nationals had, had all these guys, man? Man, oh man. But huge move for the Phillies. Everyone's been talking about it all day. I was at work today when the news broke. There was nothing I could do. I wanted to go live so badly today, and it's like, what can you do? I'm at work. This is why I do want this eventually to be my full-time job. I love being a teacher, but man, oh man, I would love one day One day, not now, but one day, I would love for it to be my full-time thing, man. That's why I appreciate all your support, everyone. But yeah, that was kind of hard, man. I was sitting at work today. I was on my lunch break today while the kids were at lunch, and all this stuff was happening. I was like, oh, perfect timing. At least I get to, react to all of this stuff as I was on my break. But yeah, man, huge deal for the Phillies. Not really much else to say. Their lineup is looking amazing. Hey, I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm just glad you see a story from months ago that the Phillies were going to be a hot contender for Trea Turner, and it ends up happening that way. So I am glad that ended up coming through. And hey, we'll have to see where the rest of these shortstops go. We are going to talk about another shortstop here in just a little bit. But the Trea Turner signing, it was not the first one of the day. We had the big one. We had a big one right from the start. Justin Verlander going to the Mets. My goodness. I mean, we had actually seen a report last night. Former Mets player, I believe, he had put out a tweet. I'm going blank on the name. I apologize. I'm sure someone will put it in the chat. But he had put out last night that the Mets and Verlander, it looked like they had agreed on a 2-year deal. It had not been confirmed by any means. But, hey, ended up coming through here. And this broke rather early today. It was in the morning. What was it, around like 10? Nick, thank you. Carlos Baerga. Is that how you say it? Yeah, that's who it was. But, yeah, good to see that he had the inside scoop last night. But when the news broke, man, it's huge. He's getting the same AAV as Max Scherzer. And when we're looking at the Mets rotation now, man, this looks a lot better. Without DeGrom there, it was looking like there was a big hole. And hey, Verlander and Scherzer coming back together for the first time since their days with the Tigers. Hey, pretty cool to see. I was actually reading something, I believe it was from Ken Rosenthal, how there was a story out there that these two guys, Verlander and Scherzer, weren't really a big fan of each other, and it had been kind of like this mystery for a long time. So he went out there, he talked to some former Tigers players, and he had actually, gotten word. It wasn't that they didn't like each other, they were just very competitive. So, hey, man, I think, these two together for the Mets, hey, they didn't get the job done in Detroit. Can they do it here with the Mets? I think it's a pretty cool story that these two guys are back together. But for the Mets, this is big. I think you could honestly make an argument that this ends up could this actually make the Mets a better team than they were with DeGrom? I think that could, that's a bit of a hot take. I know with DeGrom, obviously, he's absolutely amazing, but DeGrom had trouble being on the field. So it was kind of one of those things. But Verlander, sure, he had the Tommy John surgery. He's had those issues here in the last couple of years. And he had a couple issues at the end of last season, but ended up being fine for the postseason. Could you make the argument that Verlander actually makes the Mets better than they were with DeGrom? So I think you could make that argument. It's going to be, I'm excited to see what these two guys can do. Scherzer, durability has been an issue with him. So I think that's going to be the big key is durability for these two guys. I think with Verlander, you can feel a little more at ease with his health because this guy has always just been pretty durable minus the Tommy John. So I love the addition for the Mets. I think that's exactly what they needed to do. You lost out on DeGrom, but the Mets, it ends up being nice for them because they have the money to spend. But it's nice for them because it's a short year, or it's a short-term deal when it comes to the years. With Scherzer, it was a 3-year deal. Verlander, it's a 2-year. I believe there's a mutual option at the end of it. I believe, or it's a vesting option. So we'll see how that goes. I love it, man. I love it. So 2025 vesting option becomes a player option if he throws at least 140 innings in 2024. I think he could definitely do that. Like Giraffe Neck Mark likes to say, he ages like fine wine. And you know what? Hey, give it up for Giraffe Neck Mark, man. He has been saying that Justin Verlander line for a long time. Ages like fine wine. And here he is in a Mets uniform. So, hey, congrats to Giraffe Neck Mark. He was pretty stoked about it today. So, good to see. But taking a look here, I love it. I think it's really solid, but I think the Mets still have work to do. I do think they need to add a little bit more depth, whether that's, bringing back Chris Bassett. Could you add another guy like a Jose Quintana? Someone like that. Maybe a Jamison Tyone, I think, could be a pretty nice fit there. I would like for them. I mean, David Peterson was decent last year over the 19 starts. If we take a look, he had a 3.83 ERA, a 3.64 FIP. I definitely think he showed some promise last year, but could they maybe go after another lefty here? Tyler McGill, this was a guy who had a lot of hype coming into last year and ended up not really turning into anything. So, Carrasco, I think he's a good back-end guy. I feel like the Mets could use another piece here. They definitely still need to add some pieces for the bullpen. Hey, they still have work to do. I don't think this Mets team is done. They still have moves to make. But if you're looking at this payroll, man, look at the payroll. As of right now, their estimated luxury tax payroll at $289.1 million, man. That is a lot of moolah. They are above the third luxury tax threshold. My goodness. You got 233 is the first, 253 is the second, 273 is the third, 293 is the fourth. I mean, you might as well just go break the fourth one. You might as well just do it. Let's just do it, But hey, the Mets, I don't think they really care about these taxes. I think they just want to bring a World Series to Queens. Simply Silent Fog, how you doing, my friend? Maybe a Spencer Turnbull trade could be possible. It's possible, but I see that as pretty unlikely just because he had Tommy John. I think teams would like to see what he could do. Maybe a trade deadline candidate. I could see that. I think also the Tigers, they also want to try and, compete too. They had a bad year last year, but I think the Tigers, they're looking to win some games as well. But hey, in the end, what else is there to say? There's not much really else to say with Verlander. It's a great move. I think it's exactly what the Mets needed to do. You lost DeGrom, so go out there, go get the guy that just won a Cy Young, one of the best pitchers of all time. That's a great move. Absolutely great move. So, taking a look here at our next story. Well, since we're talking about, free agent starting pitching, let's stay on that. Let's keep our focus on that. And Carlos Rodon is in the news. It's looking like he wants a 6-year deal. And, I could see some people kind of cringing at that a little bit. Carlos Rodon has had some health issues. He looked great last year. He looked absolutely fantastic. Looking at the numbers that he had last year, he had 31 starts, 178 innings, 2.88 ERA, but the FIP was so good at 2.25. This guy, the advanced numbers were very solid. He had some in the blues, but he had a lot of reds. But this guy, easily one of the best pitchers in baseball last year. I'm still shocked that he wasn't a finalist for the Cy Young voting. That's just my opinion. But it's looking like he wants a 6-year deal. If we're looking at Fangraphs, they were expecting him to get a 5-year deal with an AAV of $27 million per season. So they were expecting a 5-year $135. It's looking like he's holding out as long as possible for a 6-year. Could a team make that move? A team like the Rangers, who've been aggressive, could they make that move where they say, all right, we'll go that 6-year. We'll do it. Let's have you come to Texas. I thought Texas was a great spot for him. There's a lot of teams that would love to have someone like a Carlos Rodon, but I could see a lot of teams being scared away by the 6-year deal. There's a lot of teams that could use some pitching, man. The Twins, they're always looking for pitching. If they end up not getting Carlos Correa, could they use some of that money for Carlos Rodon, go for the different Carlos instead? I could see them maybe, taking that plunge, giving him that 6-year. I think they could really use a guy like Carlos Rodon. Makes a lot of sense for them. I don't know about the Yankees. I don't know. I feel like the Yankees would not want to go 6 years for Carlos Rodon. We're talking about the Mets here. Could the Mets? Whatever. They don't care about money right now. They're just throwing money at guys. And I think Carlos Rodon, if they really want to, we're just talking about adding pitching. I was talking about maybe adding another depth guy like a Jamison Tyone or Jose Quintana. I've talked about Carlos Rodon and Justin Verlander. If there's a team that's going to do that, to add both of the two of the top starting pitchers on the free agent market, it would be the Mets. So maybe the Mets do this, possibly. I could see a team like the Rangers being a little more a little more aggressive, just because they are really looking to add some pitching, even though they got DeGrom. And I was reading something a little earlier today that the Rangers, hey man, they're looking to make some moves even after Jacob DeGrom. So I think it's definitely possible. And hey, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think there are going to be some teams that will get scared off by the 6 years. But I think, hey, for him, he's trying to hold out for as long as he can, and he's trying to hold out for as many years as he can, But I wonder how long he'll end up going. I could see some teams maybe kind of backing away from Carlos Rodon, maybe just focusing on some of these lower-tier guys like Tyone, like Quintana, maybe Nathan Eovaldi as well. Haven't heard a whole lot about Nathan Eovaldi. I was hearing last week that teams were, starting to get pretty serious about him. What's going on with Nathan Eovaldi? But, yeah. We'll have to wait and see what Carlos Rodon is, or what he's going to end up doing here. A 6-year deal. Could he end up getting it? We'll just have to wait and see. But let's shift our focus here. We're talking about New York. Let's talk about the face of the Yankees. Will he keep being the face of the New York Yankees? We have the latest on Aaron Judge. And actually, there is a lot of chatter right now going on Twitter. And, so actually some pretty interesting comments. Taking a look here. Mark Feinsand was on it. So you guys are coming in at the right time because they were just tweeting this about 30, 40 minutes ago. Taking a look here. It looks like Cashman was having some kind of like a panel or something. I don't know. Because a lot of these guys were, putting comments. But Mark Feinsand was on it first 52 minutes ago. Brian Cashman said he had a conversation today with Aaron Judge's agent. We're still talking. I mean, I would imagine they're still going to be talking. To me, I think Judge, before he ends up going anywhere, I think he will circle back to the Yankees. At least I would think that's what he would end up doing. Looking at Bob Nightingale, he says here, Brian Cashman, which, by the way, he did get himself an extension today. They signed him through 2026. Yankee fans, let me know in the comments. How do you feel about that? A lot of people are getting... I've seen a lot of Yankee fans really fed up with Brian Cashman. You've seen a lot of people fed up with Aaron Boone. But a lot of people, they say, hey, it's not just Aaron Boone. It's Brian Cashman. It's Hal Steinbrenner. So Yankee fans, I bet they were probably sitting in their office after they got this done. They're probably like, oh, man. All these Yankee fans, they're gonna be so cheesed off about this. They're probably laughing, having a beer. Probably, I can imagine that scene happening. But here we go. Bob Nightingale said the Yankees are still active in negotiations with Aaron Judge, but was unaware. Now this is where it gets interesting. So open those ears. But was unaware that Judge plans to be at the winter meetings on Tuesday. I'm thinking Judge is signing tomorrow. By the way, and you know where he's going to sign? You know where Aaron Judge is going to sign? I think he's already confirmed it. Here. Where is it? I got a picture, everyone, of where he's actually going to be signing. It's a surprise team. Surprise team, everyone. I mean, who would have thought? The Tampa Bay Rays are looking like they're going to be signing Aaron Judge because he is at the Bucks game tonight. He's got the Bucks jersey on. I mean, it's confirmed. Aaron Judge is going to the Tampa Bay Rays, everyone. I mean, my goodness. It's over. I mean, the Rays have got this in the bag. I'm just kidding. But, hey, pretty funny to see him out in public, man. Especially, at a, what is it, Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. Wow, I don't even know what day it was. So you got the Bucks and the Saints on tonight. He's paying homage to Mike Evans because I think Mike Evans wore his jersey after he broke the record. And for Roger Maris, that's what Jenna Lane of ESPN was saying. So he returned the favor, going to the Bucks game with his wife tonight. So, but yeah, Aaron Judge. Could he end up being a Tampa Bay Ray? I would die laughing. Could you imagine? You just wake up tomorrow, and he's just shaking hands with the owners of the Rays. My God, he'd be worth more than the whole franchise. Goodness gracious. But let's take a look at some of these comments. Oh, super chat. What's going on, everyone? How you doing? Rick Bennett just found out Dombrowski is out on players who rejected qualifying offers, so Rodon is out. Okay, that does make some sense. So who rejected qualifying offers. So, that would mean, yeah, because they have to give up a draft pick. So, yeah, that does make some sense, and I do think that is something, to pay attention to. So, Rodon was offered the qualifying offer. Aaron Judge was offered it. Swanson was offered it. Bogaerts, he was offered it too. We're talking about him in just a second. Guys like Nimmo. So that is something to pay attention to. I think that's one little detail that people, at least I'll be honest, I tend to forget that too. Some guys who have been offered a qualifying offer, there are teams that don't want to be giving up draft picks. Teams really value those draft picks these days. But Rick, thank you so much for the support, my friend. And we just got over 400 people in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. The light goal for tonight, I said 150. I would love to get 200 if we can get there. I would love you all forever. But let's get back to the comments here about Aaron Judge. Now, the last one that I was reading, he plans to be at the winter meetings tomorrow. I'm just saying, man, I think it's very possible we could see something happen tomorrow. Maybe something happen Wednesday morning. Wednesday, the last day of the winter meetings, it's usually when things start to die down. Guys are going home. They're checking out of the hotel there, wherever they're at. They're kind of maybe wrapping up some last-minute things. Don't forget, I think we have the MLB draft lottery. Isn't that tomorrow? Ooh, that is tomorrow. So that's going to be happening tomorrow. Ooh, I think I might have to go live for that. I mean, that's the first ever one. I think I have to go live for that. We got to be watching. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, taking a look back at the comments here with Aaron Judge. Where did they go? Here we go. So, I definitely think something could happen tomorrow. Maybe Wednesday morning. Absolutely. Remember Albert Pujols, when he signed with the Angels, that happened on the last day of the winter meetings. So you tend not to see a lot of stuff happen on the last day of the winter meetings. It's always like those 2 in-between days. Everyone flies in. You get there that night. Everyone settles in. And then you have the 2 full days in between. And then you got the last day where, people are starting to head home. But then Mark Feinson said, Cashman said the Yankees have made a number of offers to Judge. So, I mean, I'm guessing you got a whole bunch of different offers, probably right around the same money, different years, different AAVs, different incentives, I'm sure there are going to be some deals that are being offered to him, with options, incentives, because not too long ago, health was a thing with Aaron Judge, and, we've never really seen a player his size, you know what I mean? So you don't even know what the durability is going to be like for him. But Cashman also pointed out, saying, we would love to land the plane favorably, but we're not flying the plane. Then Bob Nightingale goes on to say, also reiterating the several offers to Judge. They're continuing to wait on Judge's decision. They're on hold with several free agents. That kind of, for the Yankees, you got to be thinking, man, you're on hold here. I wonder if they've basically said, like, hey, I wonder if they have said in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure they want to give him the time that he needs, but they've also probably, maybe, I'm just speculating, maybe they've said, like, hey, we got to hear something, man, because we got work to do, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe something like that's been said. Probably not. I don't know. But Cashman, Mark Feinstein goes on to say here that Cashman said he and Judge's reps have made offers and counter offers, wouldn't characterize whether negotiations are in the 5th, 7th, or 9th inning, so to speak. It's a fluid situation. I feel like a lot of, movement is going to happen tonight. My guess is Judge. He's at this game right now. His agent, he's very hard at work right now, man. I'm thinking he told Judge, hey, Go enjoy the game. Go have some fun tonight. I got this. I'm going to take care of it all. And so, yeah. And then Bob Nightingale goes on to say the Yankees are not putting a timetable on Aaron Judge to make a decision. So, I don't know. I mean, they'll say that. I wonder if they're like, they can't keep waiting around. They gotta have their offseason. GM Brian Cashman says, out of respect for him. Yeah. I mean, again, I could see it going either way. Not giving him a time, giving him a time. I don't know. Mark Feinstein, Cashman said Judge's reps have never given him an indication that they would be given a chance to match or surpass a final offer from another club. That's interesting. That is interesting. When I'm reading that, man, you would think that Judge would, say whether or not, or I don't know. I don't know how these negotiations work, but usually you tend to see the player go back to his team. Hey, this is the offer. Are you guys going to beat it? I would imagine they're going to, I would imagine that's what's going to end up happening. But Cashman said they have not heard if they're going to get a final offer. We have seen situations like that before where they never go back, or they don't go to the team that they were with, and they don't give them a chance. We have seen stuff like that happen. I would think in this situation, it probably will, out of respect, but it's going to be really interesting. And I think I think something's going to happen in the next couple of days. I'd be shocked if nothing happens with Judge by the end of the winter meetings. I will be shocked, but that is the latest right now. Judge is hanging out of the game, probably going to sign with the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. Here we go. Let's get to the next story. And hey, speaking of the Yankees, let's talk about their arch rivals, my Boston Red Sox. And it's looking like Xander Bogaerts, every single day that passes, he's probably not going back to Boston, everyone. And the Diamondbacks are looking like a serious suitor. Tell me that I have not been saying this. Now, it was not my original prediction. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've been calling this, since day one. But I have been saying for a little while that I do expect the Diamondbacks to be busy. I do expect them to go and make some moves. And in my winter meetings predictions video, one of my predictions was the Diamondbacks would make a surprise signing. Based off of you've been seeing their name out there a little bit. They made a pretty low-key signing with Miguel Castro. They're busy. To me, I'm looking at the Diamondbacks, and I'm looking at a team that feels like they need a veteran guy. And I feel like Bogaerts really fits that profile for them. It's not like this long-term guy. I could see Bogaerts like a 6-year deal with the Diamondbacks, like somewhere in that range, maybe a 5-year deal, maybe 7. I think that's possible. But what is going on here? Mark Feinson just tweeting, the Astros have emerged as a suitor for Sean Murphy. I don't know about that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that done. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. I am going to be talking about Christian Vazquez, so we'll talk about the catchers here in just a little bit. But we are getting a report from Mark Feinson that Sean Murphy is attracting the likes of the Houston Astros. The Astros have emerged as a potential suitor for Sean Murphy. Houston currently has Martin Maldonado, have been connected to Wilson Contreras. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if the Astros have enough to get it done. Murphy's going to cost you quite a bit. So, we'll take a look back at this in just a little bit. But let's get back to Bogaerts. Now, I actually found an interesting clip today. It's an old clip. It was, if we go take a look here, I tweeted about it earlier. Here we go. So, taking a look here, it's an old clip of Jared Carrabis. Let me actually, let me pause the music here. Let me actually play this for everyone. Look at Jared Carrabis here. This was back in 2010. Look at this. He's talking with Mike Hazen, who's now the general manager of the Diamondbacks. And, but he was at one point, he was with the Red Sox. He was also the head of player development for the Red Sox, back in those early years. And he was there when they first got Xander Bogaerts as an international free agent.
A little bit about Xander Bogaerts, is that correct?
Yes.
Down in the Dominican for a pitcher's league, his offensive numbers are insane, he says.
I haven't been down to the Dominican this year, but Chip brought him over for a workout in the spring training as a young kid. The size that this guy already has on his frame, the raw power that this guy, and just in a display in a workout in Fort Myers in one of the backfields.
Oh, you can't hear it? I'm sorry. Let me turn up the volume here. Let me turn up the volume. Sorry about that, everyone. I thought you could hear it. 1 second here. But, yeah, Hazen was making... This dude was, like, obsessed with Xander Bogaerts. Here we go. Yeah, let me turn up the volume so you could hear it. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, let's see if you can hear it now.
Can you tell us a little bit about Xander Bogaerts? Is that correct?
Yes.
Down in the Dominican for a pitcher's league, his offensive numbers are insane. He says.
I haven't been down to the Dominican this year, but Chip brought him over for a workout in spring training as a a young kid. The size that this guy already has on his frame, the raw power that this guy, and just in a display in a workout in Fort Myers in one of the backfields was extremely impressive. And all the scouts and roving instructors that have come back from.
Can you tell us a little bit about Xander Bogaerts?
So he was absolutely just enamored with Xander Bogaerts. I mean, and who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Is my volume? Okay, my volume's working. Sorry, everyone. But, I mean, the guy was he was looking like the next big thing when the Red Sox ended up getting him from Netherlands. And it was crazy, man. Taking a look here. Hold on a second. I got to adjust this. Here we go. There we go. Okay, we're booming. We're booming. There we go. Alrighty. So, taking a look. Let's put the music back on. Okay. So, yes, Mike Hazen. He's with the Diamondbacks now. We've seen moves like this happen before where there's a connection, with an older player. And I'm telling you, I think Mike Hazen, he was a huge fan of Xander Bogaerts. And it's funny that I remembered this because I remember watching it. I mean, this was back in 2016 that he reposted it. I remember watching it. I watched it back in like 2010. It's been I remember watching this at some point. And because I remember hearing, about Xander Bogaerts. I remember hearing, this was like the next hot prospect for the Red Sox. And I could absolutely see Hazen just wanting to bring this guy in because it's not just what he can do on the field. He just brings those intangibles to a team. And I feel like the Diamondbacks, obviously, he would just make your team better with his ability. But he's just going to bring a leadership. He has that big game experience. I think he would be a huge pickup for the Diamondbacks in just so many different ways. The Diamondbacks are a very young, talented team. This team could be the Cleveland Guardians next year. The Guardians had a young team last year, and they put it all together, and they ended up getting to the playoffs. Almost got to the championship round in the playoffs. They were that close. I could see the Diamondbacks being a similar team next year. They have work to do. They need to add some pitching, but Bogaerts would be huge. I've been saying this now for a little while, that the Diamondbacks, don't be surprised if they go out here and make some kind of a move. And they're a sneaky team here for Bogaerts. I would be upset if he doesn't end up coming back to Boston, but I've expected now that I don't see him coming back to Boston. I've thought that for a long time. But if he does end up going somewhere, I would love it if he went to Arizona. I like Arizona, man. I love that young team that they have. I love the players that they have. I would love it if he ends up going there. I think it'd be a great fit. Now, I have seen some people have some concerns, with him because you have Jordan Lawler, up and coming shortstop for them. But here's the thing. You can't make decisions in the present based off of things that are in the future. You can't ever do that. And I understand people, they get really hyped up about prospects. It always ends up working itself out. If you bring in Bogaerts, he's your shortstop, and then Jordan Lawler, you got to call him up. You figure out where to play him. It's really not that big of a deal. You figure it out. And to me, I think Bogaerts fits. Nick Ahmed, he's not really giving you much with the bat. I could see him being like a backup infielder. To me, I think you need to make that upgrade. So that's what I'm thinking here. That's what I'm thinking. Xander Bogaerts, it'd be interesting to see where he ends up going. And I think Diamondbacks would be a great fit. You still got some other teams out there. The Cubs have been linked with him. The Padres, now that Trea Turner is going to the Phillies, could the Padres end up getting in on Xander Bogaerts? They've been connected with him in the last couple of weeks. So let's see what ends up happening with that. But since we are talking about Xander Bogaerts, let's shift our focus to the Red Sox, who I think eventually will be his old team. Chaim Bloom, he was talking a little bit with the media today, and he discussed some of the Red Sox plans. It's really interesting with Bloom. I'm always someone, in life growing up, I've always looked at things down the middle. I've always looked at, two different lenses when it comes to anything. I always look at the pros and the cons. This is why, sometimes I can have a hard time making decisions about things. Like, even if I go to the grocery store, I can't decide what box of cereal I want to get, because I tend to be very analytical when it comes to stuff like that, and ends up, shooting me in the foot sometimes. But with Chaim Bloom, I can see the positives, and I can also see the negatives. I understand people are frustrated in Red Sox land. I get it. You want to have a winner. But you got to remember here with 2021, he made some moves. He made a few moves that ended up being really good for that team, but you had some carryovers from that 2018 championship. The Red Sox had talent. Now, they got off to that hot start in 2021, and then the second half of the year, they ended up kind of slowing down. They ended up getting to the ALCS. They got pretty close, but people, I think they got kind of hung up on that a little bit, but I think that was almost like a perfect storm kind of a thing. And then obviously last year, ended up taking a step backwards. But Chaim Bloom, what I have seen with him is our farm system is looking so much better than it has in so long. I love the moves that Dombrowski made, but we had basically no farm anymore. There was no guys you could call upon. The depth was really bad. And the Red Sox farm system has been better, and they're starting to beef it up. And Bloom has been a big reason for that. Nick with a super chat. What's going on here? I can see the Dbacks bringing Dansby. I would love that. That would be awesome, man. If the Dbacks did that, that'd be really cool. Also, how is the MLB batting champ not on the all MLB team at second base? Jeff McNeil slander. Did they just pick the all MLB team? Oh, here we go. I'll get to that in just a second here. We almost got 500 people in the chat. I appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. So here were the all MLB teams. At first base, you had Paul Goldschmidt for the for first base, sorry. Second base, Jose Altuve, Trea Turner at shortstop, Manny Machado at third, Real Muto at catcher, Alvarez at DH. Betts. So you do two outfield, or you do three outfielders. Betts, Judge, and Trout were the outfielders. The pitchers, you had Alcantara, Manoah, Ohtani, Valdez, and Verlander. Interesting. That's interesting. They went with Valdez. Huh. Well, if I were to go here, Valdez was good last year. But, wow, no Aaron Nola. Huh. Aaron Nola led in Fangraph WAR. Again, with Fangraphs, it's going to be a bit more projection based. I understand that. But man, no Carlos Rodon. Again, Rodon really got snubbed a lot. They actually, they only had one pitcher from the National League. You have Manoah, Ohtani, Valdez, and Verlander. You only had one from the National League in Alcantara. Max Fried, I think, could have had an argument there. If you look at Alek Manoah, he was 15th in Fangraph WAR. But again, they look at ERA. They're not really looking at FIP. I'm a FIP guy. Zach Gallen didn't make it. I really would have liked Zach Gallen. I could see Framber Valdez. I think that's good. No Corbin Burns. Wow. Man, I'm a little surprised about... I can see Nola, the 11-13 record. but his strikeout to walk ratio was really good. I get the ERA. It's in the 3s. Alcantara was, low 2s. Alcantara should be there, but I feel like some guys, got a little left out here. I feel like, man, I mean, I could even make an argument for Max Fried. He had a pretty low ERA. He didn't get a lot of strikeouts. So, do they have a second team? Oh, Colin Kelly, the second team. Okay. All right. Well, if I'm just looking at the first team, I definitely think some guys maybe got left off. But, yeah, I like it. Clase and Diaz as the relievers. But, yeah. So, anyway, let's get back to the news. Thank you, Nick, for that super chat. Do appreciate that. But let's take a look at Chaim Bloom. Taking a look at some of the comments that he made today. So far, all he's done is add to the bullpen, which he needs to do that. Like, that is definitely a high priority for the Red Sox. They've added Chris Martin, Joely Rodriguez. Joely Rodriguez, his advanced numbers were better than the surface numbers, so he basically replaces Matt Strahm. So, but I like the additions to the bullpen. But he goes on to say here, all in all, Bloom said the team wanted to add 7, 8, 9 players, and they want to build the team that we want to have. He's looking for one starting pitcher who can bring upside, leadership, and consistency. So, if I'm looking at... So, did he say starting pitcher? Yeah, so he wants to bring in a starting pitcher. So, who could check off those boxes? So, a high upside guy. If I'm looking at a high upside guy, when I think upside, I'm thinking a guy that's a little younger, I would say, who has good advanced numbers, where the FIP is lower than the ERA, doesn't give up a lot of hard hit balls, has good spin rates. Those are kind of guys that I'm looking for, where they don't have the flashy numbers on the surface, but those deeper numbers are looking pretty good. But he also says here leadership and consistency. So I would imagine when he's talking about consistency, he wants a guy that's going to be healthy, who's going to make his turn every 5 days, and leadership. So I'm thinking a guy who's been around for a little bit, maybe in his 30s, his early 30s, a guy that's shown that he can be healthy, and guy who has a high upside. A guy I look at, when I think about that, I think about maybe someone like a Jameson Tyone. Like, I could see someone like that. And there was also, I forget who said it. I think it was, let me go back here. Jared Carabas had pointed it out today. I thought it was kind of funny. It was this. It was from Chad Jennings of The Athletic. So he had said in this article, they want a couple of number 2s, right? They want to be able to put Chris Sale at the number 3, Whitlock at 4, and then you got Bayo, Paxton, Pivetta at 5, or something like that, he says. Says they don't need a Cy Young winner, but they don't want to have a Garrett Richards either. So they almost got Eflin. So that makes sense, because Eflin is a guy that, was just in the postseason this past year. Health has not been amazing for him, but the Red Sox think, his knee issue will end up probably clearing up. And he's a guy that has good advanced numbers. So that, when I'm looking at those characteristics, Zach Eflin made some sense. So if I'm looking here, another guy that has high upside is a Kadai Senga. I think he's a bit of an unknown, though. So... but I could see the upside potential with him. And then I thought it was weird that they pointed out Shane Bieber and Corbin Burns. It's like, these are not number 2 guys. They're not going to be getting Shane Bieber and Corbin Burns. It amazes me that these people that work in the media, they still don't understand trades. It's like, do you know how much it's going to cost to get Corbin Burns? It's going to cost so much to get the guy. And the Red Sox are not going to go after him. And they already said that they probably don't want to trade him anyway. Bieber, maybe, but why would the Indians want to the Guardians. Why would the Guardians want to get rid of Bieber? They were just in the playoffs. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I don't understand some of these writers sometimes. I love Chad Jennings. I've read a lot of his stuff for years. But I don't know. That was just didn't make any sense. But when I'm looking at a guy, I'm looking at someone like a Jameson Taillon. If I'm looking at his StatCast. Now, to me, he kind of fits the bill where, sure, maybe the average exit velocity, the hard hit percentage, they're kind of middle of the road. When it comes to the expected batting average, expected slugging, barrels, doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Those aren't very good looking, but he has a good chase rate, good spin rates on the fastball, curveball. He's a veteran at this point. You know, I could see someone like Taillon being someone that he's talking about here with upside, leadership, consistency. He showed that he was healthy last year. So I could see something like that. Jameson Taillon, if I'm looking at these guys that are on the market, Kluber, I just don't think Kluber has a lot of upside, but he would bring consistency and leadership. Maybe someone like a Taijuan Walker has a bit of an upside there. I'm not really too enamored with a Taijuan Walker. Jose Quintana has some pretty decent advanced numbers. Carlos Rodon, do they want to spend the big bucks? I don't know. When he's a bit of a, if you're looking for consistency, I think that could be a bit of a question mark for them. I think that's why they also liked Michael Wacha last year, because he did miss some time, but he was pretty consistent at one point, and he was a respected veteran. Heaney offers upside, so that's one thing. They've been connected with Andrew Heaney. So it'll be interesting to see how the Red Sox end up playing this out. But the fact that they want to add 7, 8, 9 guys, does that already include Chris Martin and Joely Rodriguez? If it does, well, then you're looking at, less. But I think they will add a starting pitcher. I just think they need to. Someone like Mitch Haniger. Mitch Haniger really checks off those boxes. Like, I know he's talking about a pitcher here with upside, leadership, and consistency. Haniger checks off at least 2 of those boxes. Upside and the leadership. Consistency, how's his health going to be? But I could see the Red Sox absolutely landing Mitch Haniger. I could see them being very motivated for him. But these are kind of the guys that Bloom goes after. So I'm not surprised to see him make those comments. I don't think Bogaerts is coming back. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I just don't think that's going to happen. But he did end up saying, he did push back a little bit today. Someone had pointed out that they had not made a competitive offer, but he pushed back saying they have certainly made offers to him. We've been engaged and will stay engaged. So I think that's kind of something he has to say because it's a PR thing. I don't think he's coming back, but it'll be interesting, man. I'm wondering, there's a lot of moves that the Red Sox can make. Will he make the moves that he wants to make? We'll have to just wait and see. But let's move on from the Red Sox here. Let's talk about a few other things. Hey, we're talking about the Red Sox. We talked about the Yankees earlier. But let's talk about another team in the American League East, and that is the Toronto Blue Jays. It's looking like the Toronto Blue Jays are maybe getting in on Bryan Reynolds. According to John Morosi, the Blue Jays are a team to watch in the Bryan Reynolds market. They have interest in him and want to add an athletic switch hitter to their outfield. Based on strong industry interest, Jays would likely need to include Tiedemann, or is it Tideman? It's either Tiedemann or Tideman. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Or Martinez. Now, I actually put this today, and I just simply put no. Because those two guys, I think a lot of people were misinterpreting what I was saying. He did say, I think is it Tideman? Someone help me out. Someone put the pronunciation for him. Blue Jays fans in the chat, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I'm going to go with Tideman. Tideman or Martinez? Yes, he said or. But if you look at Martinez, his value has really gone down because he has not really been producing all that much. Now, if it is Tideman, okay, I do think they actually just bumped up his value. Is it Tiedemann? Tiedemann. Okay, I got two different pronunciations there. I got Tiedemann and Tiedemann. I don't know who. So, but let's pull up here. I think he did update. I think his value did get updated. Yes, it did. So it's at $27.5 million now. Now, here's the thing. I know Blue Jays fans. I actually had someone comment earlier saying, I'm going to say this right now. I got to say this. I might go on a rant here. I had someone. Who was this? Someone commented on this today. And who was it? You, Mr. Chris. Don't read too much into the way that website values players. Tiedemann is way, way more valuable than that. Chris, I hope you're watching, my friend. I'm going to show you a statistic. You know I like stats. A 94.5% acceptance rate on over 430 real-life trades. Enough is enough. Can we stop discrediting this website? I'm tired of it. I'm over it. Why do people have to come on here? They try to act like they're so smart. And like, oh, no, that website doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm a Blue Jays fan. I'm a biased Blue Jays fan. My favorite prospect is definitely more valuable than that. Absolutely. Baloney. Get out of here. I understand he's very good. However, if you're looking at him, he has not pitched above A ball as of right now. He is very good. He has good stuff. Definitely has a future. But his value right now is pretty limited because he has not pitched above A ball. You have to see what these guys can do in AA, AAA. I mean, he has a good value of right under 30 million, right? Now, sure, this one, it was updated, but it did say 22.9 at the time, but they do their updates. And so, but, a little higher, 27.5. I agree. I think he is a good prospect. But you got to be realistic here at the same time. That value could absolutely jump up. I am not discrediting that. But he has not pitched a lot above A ball. I believe he pitched like a few games in AA, possibly. It wasn't a lot of innings. I know that for a fact. But come on. That's like me saying Marcelo Meyer has $100 million worth of value. Like, yeah, he's really good. But I'm not going to, start getting crazy here. Now, you could go a little higher. He could go all the way up to 33 million as of right now, according to the numbers. He could go as low as 22 or go as high as 33. But I'm just saying. No, Kyle, I see what you're saying. He finished in AA, but he did not pitch that much in AA. So I believe he pitched like 11 innings. I think it was 11 innings in AA. So he pitched 30 in A, 37 2/3 in A+, and then he pitched in 4 games in AA. Yeah, these are great numbers. Fantastic. But you have to show more. It's just, I'm not saying he can't do it, but you have to have more of a sample size. Now, he's got great stuff. Good enough fastball. He's got a good slider, good changeup, good command. Sure, he could end up being a really good pitcher. But right now, I'm just saying. Kyle, yes, I see you in capital letters. He has pitched in AA. Yes, I am seeing you. He has pitched 11 innings, my friend. 11 innings in AA. That's not that much. Yes, I think he could be very good. But I'm getting tired of these people that are coming on here and they want to act like they're so darn smart, saying that this website doesn't know what they're talking about. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. They're not going to get it right all the time, but 95% of the time. What else do you need? Do you need 100%? Does it have to be absolutely perfect? It's like, my goodness. It's like, just enough. Enough. Chris, go have a sandwich. Stop it. Now, back to the main point here. I think the Blue Jays could land him, but they would have to give up a couple of pieces here. You could put him. You'd probably have to put Barrera, sorry. You got Zulueta. You're getting pretty close with these three guys. But you're going to give up 3 pitchers in your farm? I don't know about that. They could give up Jansen, but they already got Henry Davis there. You know, Simply Silent Fog, $2 super chat. Support BTV. Enough with this slander. Enough is enough. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of these people that come on here and they just discredit, you know, because John has worked, you know, and a couple of guys that he has, they've worked so hard on this website, and they have proven time and time again that it's a very valuable source. And yeah, they're not going to get it right all the time, and they even say that themselves. But for someone to come on here and say, don't read too much into the way that website values players. Hey, Chris, let me see how you do it. Let me see how you do it, my friend. Hey, do you know that major league teams have actually talked with John before about this website? Did you know that? Probably not. Let's see your website, Chris. Where's yours? How about you make chrisbaseballtrades.com? I'll be your first customer. I'll see what you do. Let's go take a look. I'll see what you do. Goodness gracious. But for the Blue Jays, Bryan Reynolds, they definitely could be a candidate, but I don't know. They're just going to blow it up. They're going to have to blow up the rest of what they have at the top of their farm. He would make sense for paper, obviously. Center field. You know, you can move Springer over to right. So, yeah, he does make a lot of sense for them. I just don't see the Blue Jays being able to top some of these other offers, you know? So, that's what I'm thinking. Bryan Reynolds, I do think he ends up staying with the Pirates, personally. But I don't know. I definitely could see some teams, especially when Judge ends up signing. Teams that missed out on Judge, like if he ends up going to the Giants, I'm sure the Yankees would love to make a phone call. If the Giants end up not getting Judge, I'm sure they would love to make a phone call. So I think it's right now, I think you need to put it on ice just a little bit. But there are teams that would, I think, get in on Reynolds. But I think they want to see how the market plays out first. So let's get to our next story. So here we go. Moving on here. The Angels. The Angels were busy today. And they made a signing Carlos Estevez. And they also are looking to upgrade at shortstop. Let's go take a look here. Also, I forgot to point out that the Blue Jays have also made an offer for Andrew Heaney. So Andrew Heaney, man, people, teams have been buzzing about him. He's been getting a lot of interest because his strikeout numbers were so good last year. So look out for the Blue Jays to maybe be a possible destination for Andrew Heaney. So let's talk about the Angels. Carlos Estevez, one of the more underrated relievers in the game last year, a power arm. If we go take a look at him, I think this is going to be a nice addition for the Angels. You got some good velocity with him. Let's pull up the Angels. Hey, the Angels, they've been making some moves this offseason, man. I've been liking what the Angels are doing. You got a Tyler Anderson. I thought that was a nice addition for the middle of the rotation. You got Hunter Renfroe. I think that's a pretty solid piece. Now, Estevez, 3.47 ERA, 4.08 FIP. It's funny with him because he has good velocity, but the strikeout to walk ratio is not amazing. He did have some pretty good strikeout numbers back in 2019 and 2020. So let's see if he can get back to those numbers. But either way, it's a power arm for the Angels. There's not a whole lot of red, but he has the velocity. Hey, velocity out of the bullpen, it's never a bad thing. So I think in the end, this is going to be a pretty decent signing. It's only going to help the Angels having that kind of velocity out of the bullpen. But the Angels, they're also looking at upgrading shortstop. Now, if we go take a look here at the Angels currently, you have a Gio Urshela who you brought in. Now, is he going to end up being the shortstop? He's not going to play third because you got Anthony Rendon at third. So you have a Luis Rengifo at second. Could you end up moving Urshela there? So I would imagine Urshela is going to be in this lineup somewhere. Now, could they add one of these shortstops? I know that might sound crazy, especially, with ownership probably going to be transitioning here into new ownership. Artie Moreno finally going to be selling that franchise. But could they end up getting one of these big shortstops? Maybe. You got Swanson out there. Could they maybe jump in on Bogaerts? Maybe. Carlos Correa, he has been linked to the Dodgers, the Giants. Hey, if he's okay with going out west, I mean, man, oh man, you have Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Carlos Correa. I know Anthony Rendon is not really a great name to say right now because he's been kind of a bust so far. But man, the names that they would have there, man. If you were able to land someone like a Carlos Correa, that would be huge, man. And obviously Ohtani too. I was talking more about the big money contracts like Trout and Rendon, and then Correa too. But I don't know if they would want to spend big on one of these shortstops because they would like to keep Ohtani. But it would make their team better. And I think Ohtani, there would be a better chance of him staying if the team is actually good. So I think it's interesting that the Angels are looking at shortstops. I really thought last year, I thought Trevor Story could have been a good option for them. But again, it comes down to, do these players want to go there? You know, it's like, it's obviously you got some great players there, but they have just not been able to win. So there's a lot of upside with this team. The pitching was actually really good last year, but the depth of the offense really showed. They started getting a lot of injuries, and it just kind of fell apart. But the pitching was really solid last year. So the bullpen was decent. And you just added an Estevez there, who right now is projected to possibly be a closer. I think they could use another bullpen guy. But, hey, we've seen the Angels do some weird stuff before. Could they land one of these three shortstops? With Trea Turner off the board, you got Swanson, Bogaerts, and Correa. Could they go after one of these guys? I don't think they necessarily have the means, to go after a big shortstop like on the trade market. But there's not really a whole bunch of shortstops that are just available for trade. I don't know. They'd have to maybe get creative if they want to go for a shortstop. Maybe, I don't know. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now. But, free agents, maybe. If we look at their payroll right now, I mean, they could add. You got $212 million, 212.5 is their estimated luxury tax payroll. So I think that's possible. But, hey, the Angels, keep an eye out for the Angels. Keep an eye out for the Angels. Let's talk about the Twins. We're talking trades here just a second ago. Maybe the Angels could make some kind of a trade. But the Twins have actually been in talks with Luis Arraez. And, a little surprising because he was very good last year. We go pull up some of his numbers here. The Twins are looking to upgrade their pitching, and they have been floating Arraez with teams over some trades. So let's go take a look. As of right now, Luis Arraez is projected for first base. So it's very interesting because they got a lot of infielders right now. So they do want Carlos Correa back. So I could see them maybe looking to trade him. Now, if we go to baseball trade values. I just ranted about baseball trade values earlier about how amazing it is. But let's go see what his value would be. So I think it is pretty solid. It's right around 20 million. So he would not be too expensive. And I think he would be a nice upgrade for a lot of teams. And one team that comes to mind, Luis Arraez is so good at putting the bat on the ball. He never strikes out. He never really chases. He never swings and misses. This guy's bat-to-ball skills are absolutely amazing. And one team that comes to mind, they have said they would like to add contact hitters, are the Marlins. And the Marlins, they got pitching. They got Pablo Lopez. And that would be a perfect guy, in my opinion, for the Minnesota Twins. And you could maybe do a swap. You could do a rise here. Maybe throw in a couple more guys if you're the Minnesota Twins. You got some names. You got maybe, let's see. You got someone like a Rodriguez. Let me pull up the Twins' top prospects. So Emmanuel Rodriguez is their number 3. So maybe they don't want to get rid of him. So maybe someone let's see. So you got Connor Prelip. Well, they just drafted him. You got Wallner at number 5. So maybe put in Julian. That is, he is there, number 14. We got, you still got Austin Martin. Could you move Austin Martin again? Oh, look at this. You can put in a competitive balance pick now. That's interesting. That's an update. But you got Woods Richardson, kind of like Austin Martin. Could you move him again? You got Cantorino. Cantorino as of right now, he's number 9. So we can throw in Cantorino. So we got 3 guys here. And you're getting pretty close. I think they could get a deal done for someone like a Pablo Lopez. Why not? I think it makes a lot of sense. The Marlins need offense, and the Twins want pitching. Lopez would be a huge boost for their rotation. They had some trouble last year with their guys staying durable. So I think Pablo Lopez would be a great addition for the Minnesota Twins. Ethan Stein, super chat coming through. Luis and Arraez for Lopez works. Ooh, let's take a look here. So Luis. Royce Lewis. Oh, man. Well, I guess if you end up signing Carlos Correa. So, I would think you would want to hang on to him if you don't get Correa. I haven't really heard a lot about Royce Lewis lately. Take out Cantorino. But yeah, that would work for just those 2 guys. So, where did Cantorino go? So, yeah, just these 2. It would get it done. I would imagine they would love to hang on to Royce Lewis. But I could see the Marlins wanting him. That'd be pretty cool for them. Yeah, Ethan Stein, thank you for that super chat. Do appreciate that. But I think these 2 could be potential trade partners. Because Arraez is exactly what the Marlins need. So, moving on here. Let's stick with the Twins. Because the Twins are also interested in upgrading at catcher. And they are looking at Christian Vazquez. But it's not just the Twins. A few other teams are looking at Mr. Christian Vazquez, an old friend. Here we go. The Padres and the Guardians as well. Now, if we're looking at these 2 teams, or these 3 teams, we're already on the Twins. You have Ryan Jeffers, but the bat was just not very good last year. So I could also, I could understand Christian Vazquez, going there. The bat's not going to be amazing, but Christian Vazquez brings a really solid package where he's going to give you enough with the bat. He's great with the pitching staff, very good defensively. I could see why the Twins would want him. Now, the Padres are interesting. The Padres have been linked with Christian Vazquez in the past. As of right now, you got Austin Nola. Austin Nola, he's decent. Now, let me actually look at his numbers. Nola, defensively was not very good last year. So maybe the Padres want to upgrade defensively. Maybe you could use Austin Nola as maybe some trade bait. I could maybe see that. But then the Guardians obviously need a catcher. You do have Bo Naylor, but, no Austin Hedges. So, Christian Vazquez would be a really good fit for them too. So we got these 3 teams looking at Christian Vazquez. We've seen the Cubs. We've seen the Cardinals. There's a market here. Absolutely a market. And you still got Wilson Contreras out there as well. I wonder who ends up going first. I could see Christian Vazquez signing first. Because Wilson Contreras, it's interesting because we've seen some reports about how the Astros, maybe they're even looking at, playing him in left field a little bit. So have to pay attention to that. But Christian Vazquez, I think even though he is considered the second best catcher available, I feel like he could end up signing first. So have to keep an eye out for that. But like I said, with the Twins, they are looking at maybe trading Arraez. But they are set for another in-person meeting with Scott Boras. They want Correa back. They would love to have him back. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going back. Both sides, they got along last year. It was a good fit last year. But Correa, he is looking for that long-term deal. I think it's just going to depend, what are these other teams going to offer? I think the Twins, they have put forth a lot of offers according to reports. So I think in the end, Correa is just going to take the best deal. I think he would like to go back to Minnesota. I don't think he would be against it. But I think in the end, Correa is just going to take the best contract in the end. I think he would like to go to a team that's competitive. But I think it's very up in the air where he ends up going. I don't expect Correa signing at the winter meetings. I think it's going to go out for a while. It's going to go on for a while. Joe Dirt, Correa coming to the Orioles. That was my original prediction. Absolutely my original prediction. I would love for Correa to go to the Orioles. As a Red Sox fan, I would hate it. But I would love that, man. You know, this is a young team on the rise. You know, man, got the Mike Elias connection there. I could definitely see it. So, Deathminder Rangers probably signed Correa. Could you imagine? What in the world? The world would burn at that point. Like, what in the world? Hey, man, I have to wait and see. But the Twins are active. A lot of interesting stories going on right now. And, you know, we just talked about catcher as well. You know, Sean Murphy. I don't think the Astros really have enough to get a Sean Murphy deal done. I think it's more of a kicking the tires kind of a thing. Let's take a look. Guardians. Nope, not Guardians. Sorry, A's, I mean. I'm thinking he's already a Cleveland Guardian at this point. They've been so connected with him. But Sean Murphy, as you can see here, it's going to be $51 million for his median trade value. As for the Astros, I mean, you don't really, I mean, I would have, okay, you could send back Diaz, young catcher. It's going to be hard because they don't have a lot of depth. You got Gilbert. I don't know, man. I don't think the Astros are going to get this done. If I'm putting their top minor leaguers in a trade, according to BTV, I'll do the top 4 guys, and it's still not even close. So I don't think the Astros are going to be able to land him. I think they're just kicking some tires. I think he ends up going to the Guardians or the Rays, maybe the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have the pieces to get it done. But I really could see Murphy going to either the Rays or the Guardians because they have the depth of prospects to be able to make a deal happen. So, but everyone, I think that's all I have for tonight. That's all I'm seeing as of right now. I can check. Is there any updates? Most likely, when I hop off of here, something is going to end up happening, and I'm going to be quite annoyed. Hey, look at Yasiel Puig. He's at the winter meetings looking for a job. Man, oh man. He has a new agent, Lizette Carnett. What happened to Trevor Bauer's agent? I guess that didn't work out. But yeah, we got no news right now. Nothing going on. Again, they came out with the first and second teams. Yeah, for the most part, I'm looking at these players, and it seems like right now, just looking at it, I think they're all pretty good picks for the most part. So, but everyone, I also find it hilarious. Hold on, I find it hilarious that Ohtani made the first team and he made the second team. Is that even allowed? Is that what? I don't know. I think it's funny. I think that's pretty funny. Ohtani made it as a picture for the first team, and he made it for the DH on the second team. Do you think they did that on purpose? I think that's possible. I just think that's really funny. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Everyone. Thank you for stopping by. And if you can, hit the like button on the way out for me. The goal was 150, maybe 200 for tonight. We're actually right under 200 likes, so we're at 182 right now. So if you can hit that on the way out, that would be amazing. Subscribe if you are new. We're getting so close to 28,000 subscribers. I think we're within 30 subscribers. So if you can, subscribe to the channel. I would love you forever. Share the stream. Share any of the content. Everyone, I'm going to get out of here. If anything does happen, I mean, the night is young. It's 10 p.m. here on the East Coast. So if anything does happen, I'll be ready to go live. But in the meantime, everyone, have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.